The shell as a programming language. We need to know in how many ways we can write a shell program. There are two ways of writing shell program. We can type a sequence of commands and allow the shell to execute them interactively, so which is often called interactive programs. Or we can store the commands in a file that we can then invoke as a program, so which we are calling it as creating scripts. So now we will discuss about interactive programs. Just typing the shell script on the command line is a quick and easy way of trying out some small code fragments, and also it is very useful while you are learning or just testing the code. Suppose if I have a large number of C files and if I want to examine the files that contain the string POSIX, rather than search the string using grep command for the string in files and then list the files individually, you could perform the whole operation in an interactive script like the one that is shown on the screen. Here, instead of searching using the grep command for the string in the files and then list the files individually, we can perform the whole operation in an interactive script like this, which is shown on the screen, which will give the following output. It is a POSIX, and this is the file with POSIX in it, treat it well. So these are the two lines that it produces as an output, which contains the string POSIX, and here we are getting the term POSIX in small letter and also in case of capital letter, because in grep command I have used the option -i, which will ignore the case of the particular string. It may be lowercase or it may be uppercase, but it should identify if the string is POSIX, then it will display the line which contains the string, and at the end, after displaying the output, it shows the $sign. That is a normal prompt. But here we need to know how the $sign is converted into greater than sign. The normal shell prompt changes to greater than sign only when the shell is expecting further input, and we can type away letting the shell decide when you are finished, and the script will execute immediately. Like in the example, after writing the done command in the script, the shell will execute the code immediately. In this example, the grep command prints the files which finds the containing POSIX string, and then more command displays the contents of the file to the screen. Finally, the shell prompt is written, and we will see some important point regarding the interactive program, where we can perform some wildcard expansions with the help of shell, and we are almost certainly aware of using # sign as a wildcard to match a string of characters. We also have a single character wildcard using question mark, and we have a set which allows any number of single characters to be checked, which can be represented in terms of square brackets, and brace expansion using flower brackets, which is available in only some shells including bash, which allows you to group arbitrary strings to get into a set that the shell will expand. For example, the ls command will be provided with the following string with some wildcard expansion here, that is my underscore within flower bracket finger comma toe. At the end, I am specifying the character yes. The meaning of this line tells you that it will list the files which will be available with the name my underscore fingers and my underscore toes. and the command uses the shell to check every file in the current directory to compare whether it is my underscore fingers or not, and to compare whether it is my underscore toes or not. If it is, then it will display the file name. Now we will discuss about how to create script. Normally, using any text editor, we can create a script. That means we need to create a file which contains some commands. For that we need a text editor that we can use. Here I am going to create a file which is provided with a name called first, which looks like the following. And here the command line, if you observe in shell programming, it starts with hash sign and continue to the end of a line. Conventionally, though hash is kept in the first column, having made such a sweeping statement, we next note that the first line hash exclamation slash bin slash sh is a special form of comment. The hash exclamation characters tells the system that the argument that follows on the line is the shell program that is to be used to execute this file. In this case, slash bin slash sh is the default shell program. The exit command at the end of the code ensures that the script returns a sensible exit code, which is rarely checked when programs are running interactive mode. But if you want to invoke this script from another script and check whether it is succeeded, returning an appropriate exit code is very important. Even if you don't want other script to invoke your script, in that case also you should still write the exit code with a reasonable code. And a 0 denotes success in shell programming. Since the script as it stands cannot detect any failures, it always returns success. Now we will discuss about how to make a script executable. Now I have a file called first, and we can run the shell script file in two different ways. The simpler way is to invoke the shell with the name of the script file as a parameter, like slash bin slash sh space. The file name is provided as a parameter for the shell command. This should work, but it would be much better if you could simply invoke the script by typing its name, giving it the respectability of the other Linux commands. We can do this by changing the file mode to make the file executable for all the users using the command chmod space plus x space first. So with this line, or we need to understand that plus x represents I need to add execute permission for the file. With the help of chmod command, I can change the permissions of the file. We can then execute it using the command. That means now I have changed the file name with adding the execute permission for it, and now I can execute the shell program with just the file name, which will be treated as a command now. And you may get an error saying that the command was not found, even though we have added execute permission for the file. So this is almost certainly because the shell environment variable path is not set to look in the current directory for the command to execute. So to change this, we can either type path is equals to $path : dot. We need to type like this on the command line, or we can edit dot bash underscore profile, which is a file that is available in the system, to add this command to the end of the file, and then log out and log back in again, so that we can execute the command by specifying the shell script name. Alternatively, we can also type /first in the directory containing the script to give the shell the full relative path to the file. Specifying the path prepended with // does have one advantage here, which ensures that you do not execute another command on the system with the same name as your script file. And once you are confident that your script is executing properly, we can move it to a more appropriate location than the current directory. For your own use, you could create a bin directory in your home directory and add it to your path. If you want the script to be executable by others, you could use /user/local/bin. I want to make my script to be executable by others. In that case, I have to use the location /user/local/bin or any other system directory as convenient location for adding the new programs. Here we have a question: how to prevent other users from changing the script. So to prevent other users from changing the script, we should remove the write access for the file. The sequence of commands for the administrator to set the ownership and permissions would be something like this: to change or to remove the write permissions of the file. So for that, as an administrator, first he or she has to copy the file first into /user/local/bin. After copying the file into the bin folder located in local folder under user directory, we need to change the owner of the file to root, and we need to change the group name of the file to root, and we need to change the permissions of the file now, which can be the value represented as 7, 5 and 5. Here we have to notice that rather than alter a specific part of the permission flags, we should also use the absolute form of the chmod here, because you know exactly what permissions that you require. Here the permissions that I need is only read and executable, but I don't want to perform write operation, or I don't want write permission. So if you prefer, you can use rather longer but perhaps more obvious form of the chmod command. So that is a chmod u is equals to rwx and go equals to rx for the file located in bin folder, which is under local folder, which is again in turn available under user directory in root folder. Here u represents the owner or user who created the file. For user or owner, I am giving all the permissions like read, write and execute, but my intention is I don't want others to execute the script file. In that case, that means I don't want anyone other than the one who created the file, so no one should execute the file. In that case, I am going to remove the write permission, like G represent group and O represent others. ZO equals to RX. It's time to look in depth at the programming power of the shell, so which is quite an easy programming language to learn, not least because it's easy to test small program fragments interactively before combining them into bigger scripts. And we can use the bash shell to write some quite large and structured programs. The next few sections or next few slides that we are going to discuss here are variables, conditions, control structures, functions, commands and command execution. Now we will discuss about variables. So do we need to declare variables in shell? So normally we do not usually declare variables in the shell before using them. Instead, we can create them by simply using them. For example, when you assign an initial value to them, the variables will be declared. By default, all the variables are considered and stored as strings even when they are assigned numeric values. The shell and some utilities will convert the numeric strings to their values in order to operate on them as required. And Linux is case sensitive system, so the shell consider the variables FOO to be different from variables which was represented on the screen. Within the shell, we can access the contents of the variable by preceding the variable name with a $sign. Whenever you extract the contents of the variable, you must give the variable a preceding $. So when you assign a value to a variable, you just use the name of the variable, which is created dynamically if necessary. An easy way to check the contents of the variable is to echo it to the terminal, preceding its name with a $sign. And on the command line, you can see the variable in an action when you set and check various values of the variable. For example, the variable name salutation that I am going to create and use. So with this statement, I am creating the variable salutation where I am assigning the value hello to it. By assigning the value to the variable, we are declaring the variable, and I am echoing it with the help of echo command. So it will display the output hello, and when I declare the variable salutation with another value and when I echo salutation, now the output of the variable is modified, which was changed with yes dear. Similarly, when I declare the value of the variable with 7 plus 5 and when I echo salutation, so you may expect that 12 will be displayed as an output, but when I echo it, it shows 7 plus 5, because we need to represent the expressions properly. Here the expression is not represented properly. We need to follow certain syntax to represent the expression. So we have to make a note that how the strings must be delimited by quote marks if it contains spaces, and in addition there can't be any spaces on either side of the equals to sign. And we can assign user input to a variable by using read command. That means if I want to read the data into the variable dynamically, then I have to use read command, which takes one parameter, the name of the variable to be read into, and it then wait for the user to enter some text. The read normally completes when the user presses enter. When reading a variable from the terminal, you don't usually need the quote marks. For example, read salutation, which was the variable that I have used in the declaration of variables in the previous slide. So now I want to read the value into the variable. So when I am reading the value like the one that is shown on the screen, and when I echo salutation, it shows the same string as an output. So normally the parameters in a script are separated by white space characters. Example, a space or a tab space or a new line character. But if you want a parameter to contain one or more white space characters, you must code the parameter. If you enclose a $variable expression in a double quotes, then it is replaced with its value when the line is executed. If you enclose a $variable expression in double quotes, it is replaced with its value when the line is executed. And if you enclose it in a single quote, then no substitution will take place. And we can also remove the special meaning of $ symbol by prefacing with a backslash. So now we'll see an example here where I have a variable called myvar, which is stored with value hi there, Now when I echo $myvar, so I will get the output hi there. So I will show you the output at the end of the script. So this is the script. At the end of the script, it is recommended to write exit command, and when I execute it, it displays the output like this, where $myvar will display the output hi there, and when I specify the variable name in double quotations, it will display hi there, and when I write the variable name in single quotes, it will not do any substitution. So that means the substitution will not take place. So it will display $myvar as it is as an output, but it will not display the value of the variable. And echo $, it represents, there is a special meaning dollar symbol. That special meaning has to be removed with backslash sign prefixed with $myvar. So it will print only $myvar as an output, which is similar to the output that is displayed with single quote $myvar. And when I ask the user to enter some text, and I would like to store it in the variable myvar, so now $myvar, which is represented in single quote, now equals to the $myvar, here it is the value to be replaced, that is hello world. If I enter hello world as a text, and we will discuss about environment variables now. Just a brief description. We will look into environment variables in depth later. When a shell script starts, some variables are initialized from values in the environment. So these are normally in all the uppercase form to distinguish them from the user defined shell variables in the scripts, which are usually represented in lowercase letters. Example, if you take the variable name salutation, it is represented in lowercase, and myvar is a variable which is represented in lowercase. But whereas environment variables, if you consider, so it will be represented in uppercase letters. The variables created depend on the personal configuration of the system. The variables will be created depending on the personal configuration of the system. Now I will show you some environment variables followed by the description of the environment variables. One is $home, where home is the environment variable represented in capital letters. The meaning of this home means it represents the home directory of the current user. And in the previous slides we have discussed about $path, because when we are making a script executable, I want to make the file name as a command to execute the script. In that case, the command may not found error may be raised, and to avoid that error we have specified $path is equals to $path colon dot. There $path is an environment variable which is a colon separated list of directories to search for the commands. In case of Windows operating system, the list of directory paths are separated with semicolon, but in Linux it is separated with a colon. Similarly, we have $ps1 and $ps2, that is a prompt sign 1 and prompt sign 2, that we have already observed in the topic called shell as a programming language, where dollar is the prompt sign 1 and greater than symbol is prompt sign 2. That means when you are working with interactive programs, the prompt sign will be changed from dollar to greater than. So with the help of these two environment variables. And similarly we have input field separator, that is another environment variable. Likewise we have plenty of environment variables that are available. And also we have $0, which is the name of the shell script, $hash and $, where $hash represents the number of parameters passed, and $, represents the process ID of the shell script, often used inside a script for generating unique temporary file names. If you want to generate a temporary file name, then I have to use $$.